In a small, quiet town, there was a young man named David. He was just like many other young people. He had big dreams and wanted to be successful. David wanted to start his own business and become famous. He believed that if he worked hard, success would come quickly. David loved coffee and thought, why not open a cafe? He believed his cafe would be special, with the best coffee in town. So, after finishing his studies, David borrowed money from his parents to start his cafe. He was excited and ready to welcome many customers. On the day of the grand opening, David was full of hope. He expected a long line of people waiting to taste his coffee, but when he opened the doors, only a few people came. David thought, maybe tomorrow will be better. But the next day, it was the same, and the day after that. Weeks passed, and David began to worry. His cafe was still almost empty. He had put in so much effort, and yet, it seemed like no one cared. What am I doing wrong? David asked himself. David became frustrated. He thought that success should come quickly because he was working so hard. He tried everything to attract more customers. He made new advertisements, offered discounts, and even changed the cafe's menu. But no matter what he did, the cafe stayed quiet. David's frustration soon turned into stress. He couldn't understand why things weren't working. I've done everything right, he thought. Why isn't my cafe successful? His dream of running a busy cafe felt like it was slipping away. One afternoon, while sitting alone in his cafe, David noticed an old man walk in. The man had been coming to the cafe every day since it opened. He always ordered the same cup of coffee and sat by the window, reading a book. David served him his coffee, and this time, the old man looked up and smiled. David, the old man said kindly, you seem worried. Is everything all right? David sighed. I'm just frustrated. I don't know what else to do. The old man nodded, understanding David's feelings. I see. May I share a story with you? David was curious and agreed. Of course. The old man began his story. When I was young, I wanted to have a beautiful garden. I planted a small tree in my backyard. It was just a tiny sapling, and I was so excited to watch it grow. Every day, I watered it, made sure it had sunlight, and took care of it. But after a few weeks, the tree was still small. I became frustrated just like you. The old man continued, I thought maybe I planted it in the wrong place. Maybe the soil wasn't good. I even considered pulling it out and planting a different tree, but then, a friend of mine who was much wiser than me told me something important. He said, the tree is growing even if you can't see it. It takes time for its roots to grow deep into the ground. That is where the real growth happens. You can't rush nature. Be patient, and one day, you will see the tree flourish. David listened carefully. The old man's story sounded familiar. He could see himself in the story, trying to rush his cafe's success, just like the young man trying to rush the growth of his tree. The old man smiled and said, I decided to follow my friend's advice. I stopped worrying so much and continued to take care of the tree. I didn't see much change at first, but I trusted that it was growing, and do you know what happened? Over time, the tree grew tall and strong. Its roots were deep and firm. It became the most beautiful tree in my garden, and it gave me shade and fruit for many years. The old man finished his coffee and looked at David. What I'm trying to say, David, is that patience is important. Success doesn't always come quickly, no matter how hard you work. Sometimes, the most important growth happens where you can't see it. Be patient, and give your cafe time to grow, just like the tree in my garden. David felt a sense of relief as he listened to the old man's words. He realized that he had been too focused on immediate success. He needed to give his cafe time to grow, just like the tree in the story. After the old man left, David thought deeply about what he had heard. He decided to change his approach. Instead of worrying about the number of customers every day, he focused on making his cafe the best it could be. He greeted each customer with a smile, listened to their feedback, and made small improvements over time. He also started to build relationships with his customers. He got to know their names, their favorite drinks, and their stories. Slowly, word began to spread about David's cafe. People talked about the great coffee and the warm atmosphere. Customers started coming back, bringing their friends and family. Months passed, and David's cafe became a popular spot in town. It wasn't just the coffee that drew people in, it was the feeling of being welcome, the sense of community that David had created. He had built something special, not in a rush, but with patience and care. Looking back, David realized that the old man's story had taught him more than just patience. It had taught him that true success isn't just about working hard and getting quick results. It's about building something strong and lasting, even if it takes time. Just like the tree in the old man's garden, David's cafe had grown deep roots, and it would continue to thrive for years to come. And so, whenever someone new came to the cafe and asked David how he had become successful, he would smile and tell them the story of the old man and the tree. He would remind them that good things take time, and that patience is one of the most important lessons in life. If you liked this story, subscribe for more.